Good morning, everybody. I'm Brandon, also known as Kushan Gaming, and welcome back to Command Modern Operations. Today is going to be another tutorial stream. I finished up the air warfare flight tutorials, and the last one of these I did a couple weeks ago. So this week will be the strike tutorials, starting with strike tutorial number 1, bombing range. This scenario is designed to help new players understand the methods and nuances of air-to-ground bombing. Bombing in today's air forces doesn't carry the same glamour as air-to-air, but once the glamour jockeys get off their shining white chargers and realize that the world does not revolve around white knights rescuing damsels in distress anymore, they recognize delivering ordnance to surface targets is why they exist. Despairingly called the air-to-mud, or farming, air-to-ground targeting is generally one of two types: close air support, where ground troops are involved, or strike, where targets are located and destroyed independent of ground forces. There are several subclasses of each type, but we will focus on simple strike missions with one aircraft each. Most modern fighters are called multi-role, indicating that they can do both air-to-air and air-to-ground. Such aircraft such as the F-15C or MiG-31 are strictly air-to-air, while some other aircraft are strictly air-to-ground, such as the A-10 or Su-25. These flying tanks are largely focused on close air support with troops in close contact. Today we'll be using the F-16, one of the most prolific and versatile modern aircraft in use today. One could make a serious study of the various F-16 types of F-16s out there, but it is not important to this tutorial. The model chosen has the ability to use a wide range of munitions to demonstrate the game functions needed. If you wish to know more, you can always go here, which I believe is a link to the Wikipedia page for the F-16. Don't worry, in future tutorials we'll use other aircraft of Russian, European, or Chinese manufacturers, so you can get used to all of these. And this scenario is by Gunner98. So he did make a comment a couple weeks ago, if I recall, where he mentioned something about if these tutorials still work. So we may encounter a couple of issues. Good morning, Unknown. Good morning, Colonel. You are the squadron commander of Blue Strike Squadron, and your job today is to learn how to use your assets in strike missions. Remember, Commando is not a flight simulator, it is a tactical operation command simulator that replicates that tactical employment of modern air and naval forces, so you don't actually fly the aircraft. You're the boss, you tell the pilots what to do, and he or she goes off and does what you tell them. Unless something goes wrong, or the situation changes, of course, then they have this desire for self-preservation. What is this world coming to? That's why you turn off, automatic evasion, because then they'll just keep charging towards their targets. None of this evasion stuff. You have a squadron of 12 F-16s. Very handy little aircraft indeed. If you're interested in the facts and figures, that's about $2 billion US worth of airframes at about $165 million each. And don't forget that you will be spending $34,000 per aircraft flight hour. The munitions you're dropping range in price from $2,000 for a Mark 82 dump bomb to $1.5 million for a JASM. Open the game and review your forces. Each of your F-16s is loaded with a different loadout. We will practice with most of the available loadouts to give you a feel for which ones to choose in a real game. Munition selection is one of the most important decisions a player will make, and is inexpensive in time if you get it wrong. Hopefully this tutorial will help you with that. We will not be using air-to-air loadouts, as there are other tutorials covering that aspect. We're doing real work in this tutorial, as we are limiting ourselves to ground targets, although surface also includes ships. That will be subject to another tutorial, and we will not be conducting suppression of enemy air defenses, which is a specialized skill set and will also be covered later. A message will appear in about 15 seconds with instructions for your first strike. Oh, one more note. Modern aircraft generally don't fly alone. They like the company of a wingman. This goes to that very inefficient principle of self-preservation again. Anyway, in this tutorial we will be flying a single aircraft, one ship, where most missions you conduct in the game will be 2-ship or even 4-ship formations. Don't ask me why they call them ships. Something to do with the knight or on a white charger thing, I'm sure. I'm sensing some humor here. Alright, so we are literally in Timbuktu today. let's go ahead and review our forces at Blue Base, aptly named. We have our one F-16C with 6 Mark 82 500-pound low-drag general-purpose bombs, which means no smart weapons for that. We've got some JDAMs. We've got some CBU-105 cluster munitions. We've got some GBU-39B SDB-1s. We've got some Mavericks. In about an hour and a half, we'll have hour and a half we'll have the Mavericks. An hour we'll have the GBU-39s, AGM-158As. We'll have some Mauds, which are decoys. GBU-54, GBU-10s, again, laser guided bombs and JDAMs. Mark 82s, more CBU-103s, so just kind of a mix of everything today. So let's go ahead and hit play. Let's check out your first strike aircraft. Strike number 1. Select Blue Base and either hit the F6 key or push the aircraft operations button in the unit status window. Strike 1 is an F-16 loaded with 6 Mark 82 low-drag general purpose. If you delve into the database, you will note that this bomb was first put into action in 1954. A lot has changed in a bomb design since then. You also note range against anti-surface targets is 1 nautical mile, and that is right on top of the target. Launch altitude is anywhere between 800 feet above ground level and 65,000 feet above ground level. Quite flexible, although the higher you drop, the lower chance that our bombs are going to hit. This is a 500-pound, 241-kilogram general-purpose bomb. Surface probability of hit is 99%. That is good, so it'll probably hit the ground, not necessarily the target. Well, there would be a problem if the bomb didn't hit the ground. The circular air probability means that it will likely hit within 50 meters of where it is aimed, but you're aiming it with the entire aircraft. It is not a precision weapon. If you hit your target, you will do 130.5 damage points. DP is a game abstract to measure a target's ability to absorb damage versus a weapon's ability to deliver the damage. Your target number 1, is a guard post. No problem. Checking the database, you know that the building is okay. It has 25 DP, so if you hit it it should kill it with your bombs, which do 130 damage points. The hard part here is hitting them. It has light armor, which should not be a problem for your bombs. It is a 20 meter by 20 meter target, giving it a target area of about 400 square meters. Launch Strike 1 by either right-clicking on the aircraft and selecting a launch individually from the drop-down menu, or by clicking the launch individually options from the bottom on the air operations menu. Alright. So we're just going to launch individually. I think we can speed up here. I'm just going to manually control aircraft today because there's no point in setting up missions. Taking off. Or taxiing to take off. Taking off. Alright, strike number 1. We are going to order towards target 1. I'm going to go only up to about 12,000 feet. Once target number 1 is in the air, you can get him targeted quite easily. Select aircraft, hit F1, select target number 1, that will auto-target. You can also do this through the orders menu as well. The rest in the hands of the pilot. He will proceed directly to the target, adopt a suitable attack profile, and drop the bombs. He should get there in about 15 minutes of game time, so you can speed up with the plus key, remembering to slow down as he approaches the target. You can also hit spacebar to pause or restart the timer. So I'm going to go and do just that. I'm just going to have him auto-target. Alright, well, let's see if we can actually hit our target here. So I'm going to lower altitude now to about 2,000 feet. That should give our general purpose bombs here a better chance to hit. Although flying lower is going to reduce our fuel usage, our fuel. And coming into strike range now. Bombs away. And he'll break off, climb up to altitude. Well, if you were lucky, you killed target number 1, but there is a good chance you missed with your bombs. That's what Korean War era weaponry is like. When you bomb it with low drag general purpose, you use lots of them. One thing to consider when using dumb bombs is your attack altitude. Many Cold War era fighter bombers were designed for the fast and low approach. Low because the geometry of a low release altitude keeps the bombs close to the target and reduces the miss distance, whereas a high-level release increases the likely area the bomb will drop exponentially, plus the added time in the air allows wind and other ballistic factors to affect the bombs more dramatically. The fast part is this delivery method is needed because it is not healthy for a multi-million-dollar aircraft to be dragging its tail down where everything from tree branches to shrapnel from its own bombs and small arms fire can damage it, not to mention anti-aircraft guns and missiles. Your next strike will be a bit different. You will step forward about 50 years and use some modern JDAM, Joint Direct Attack Munitions, weapons. In reality, this is simply a guidance kit strapped to the old 1950s era weapons family you dropped in Strike 1, but it makes a difference. I'm just going to let this run while... read it from here. So, first a little weapons. We'll consider Warsaw Pact and other bombs in further tutorials, but in this instance, the standard bomb in NATO is the American Mark 80 series, the Mark 81, nominal weight 250 pounds, the Mark 82, nominal weight 500 pounds, the Mark 83, 1,000 pounds, and the Mark 84, which is 2,000 pounds. Mark 81 Firecracker was used in Vietnam, but not much after that, and is no longer produced. Yeah, 250 pounds is kind of useless. The Mark 82, the most popular of this series due to the small size, allowing more to be carried by many different aircraft types, and the low blast radius, which keeps a limit on collateral damage, critical in many modern operations. The Mark 83, although regularly used by the US Navy, is not popular with most other forces. It doesn't have the striking power of the Mark 84, but causes more unintentional damage than the Mark 82. The Mark 84, when you need to hit something hard, you use this bomb. Added all the other bombs are guidance kits, either laser, GPS, or both, and or delivery systems that either slow the bomb down, allowing a lower altitude delivery, snake eye, or a penetration capability, the BLU-109. For this mission, you have one F-16 with two GBU-31 JDAM BLU-109s with Sniper XR pods, We don't really care about those. So it's a guided bomb unit for a Mark 84. We have the guidance kit version. It's a JDAM, so it's GPS guided. The BLU 109 is a penetrator fuse. Sniper XR, which is the targeting pod, and the ALQ 184 pod is an electronic countermeasure pod. Now, as far as the targets, you have 2 hardened aircraft shelters, the perfect targets for a 2,000-pound penetrator. They are almost made for each other. Well, they were made for each other. Launch your second strike jet and move it towards the target, please. Okay, so that I haven't actually launched. Alright, so we're going to do a little bit more precise targeting with this one. Hit Shift F1, drag the select target over target 2. Okay, so we're going to do manual allocation for this one. Alright, I'm going to close. I'm going to go and launch strike 2. We're actually a little bit behind because I decided to run it while I was reading. There's our next aircraft, strike number 2. We'll go and plot our course. Shift F2. I'm sorry, Shift F1, not Shift F2. It's going to bring up our manual allocation window. Get to that when I'm ready. We'll go up to 25,000 feet for this strike. We're using guided munitions for this one, so no need to really fly too low on this strike. Alright, just telling us that we can turn off the outer ring here, which is the range for air weapons, which aren't going to be needed. Probably have to launch strike 3 here in a couple minutes. So I'm going to drop 1 bomb on target 1. And I'll drop the other one on target 2. We're gonna turn. There goes bomb 1. Okay, modern bombs are so much easier to use. Now it is unlikely you kill both targets, but you should have at least hit both. So each one of the JDAMs have a ability of 363 DP, and each has a HAS of 350 DP. So in theory, 1 bomb per target, right? Wrong? Well, sort of. To achieve the maximum effect depends on a large number of factors, which are modeled in-game through a series of factors and dice rolls. The message log will appear... the message log will help give you clues. One example, 37% in this case penetration achieved. So one of my JDAMs missed by a massive 75 feet, about 10% the missed distance in strike 1. Who knows why? A gust of wind, problem with the GPS, hit a bird. That HAS survived with hardened aircraft shelter, for HAS, by the way, survived with light damage. Good chance that the HAS did its job and protected any aircraft inside. The other JDAM hit the target and penetrated 37%. That HAS is on fire and has heavy damage. Chances are any aircraft inside would be destroyed or at least damaged. Thankfully, there are no malfunctions, and both bombs worked. The lesson is that in precision strikes, one bomb for one target is not a guarantee of a kill. Moving on to Strike 3. Strike 3 is something a bit different. You're going to use cluster munitions, CBU 105. Specifically, wind-corrected munitions dispenser. These are designed for top attack on tanks and other armored vehicles. You may have read or heard that cluster munitions are outlawed by the Geneva Convention. That is not specifically true. You can read the detail here. The focus of the ban is to eliminate the munitions that leave the equivalent of anti-personnel mines on the battlefield, such as many early generation munitions with a high dud rates did. Many modern CBU comply with paragraph 2.c and are specifically targeted, have self-destruct or deactivation mechanisms, and are generally much more reliable than the older munitions. So you have an anti-tank cluster munition, you have 2 lonely tank troops as a target. Launch please and get strike number 3 moving towards the target. So I'm going to go ahead and launch strike 3 while strike 2 is going in. So we have bombs away on the first bomb, which did light damage. We'll go and take a look at the message log here in a moment. Let's see if we're going to get with strike number 2. And we destroyed the second one. Nice. So let's go look at the weapon damage. So now that strike 3 is airborne, let's adjust our doctrine a little bit. Game menu. We want to enable air-to-ground strafing. Close the doctrine window, select strike 3, hit F1, select the 2 tank troops, mark target number 3. You may have noticed the tank units. You can tell that they're tank units by the little tank track symbol if you're using NTS symbols. Have a number 3 next to their upper left side. This represents the number of actual tanks that the unit contains. When you fire a weapon at the unit, 1 will appear in the lower left side to represent the number of weapons that the unit has allocated to it. By the way, when using NTDS symbols, infantry is represented by a large X, depicting the cross belts of a Napoleonic soldier, and artillery is represented by a dot to represent a cannonball. So let's go, before we do that, let's go look at our weapon damage for target 1. Alright, so weapon GBU has impacted target 2. Weapon endgame is what we want for target 1, and missed the target by 45 feet. So we had the same fail rate approximately that Gunner did in the example. 1 hit right on the target, destroyed the aircraft shelter, and 1 missed and caused only light damage. So we're going to go to the doctrine menu as suggested. We're going to turn on air-to-ground strafing. To yes, I'm going to do this at the unit level, not the side level. And then close that. Select strike number 3. And get them heading out towards the target. Go up to about 25,000 feet. So we have 2 CBU 105s. And that's it. And then, as suggested, we're just going to go ahead and auto-target one of them. And then we'll come down to about 2,000 feet again when we go in for the actual attack. Strike 4 will be using a very modern version of a bomb. The small diameter bomb, first fielded in 2006, is truly a weapon designed for the current fight or counterinsurgency operation. It is a smaller than the defunct Mark 81 at only 200 pounds, but has a range of 60 nautical miles and is very accurate. You have 8 GBU-39 SDBs and 6 small buildings to destroy. Use your munitions frugally to destroy all buildings. Still about 7 minutes until our F-16 with the sniper pods is ready. Alright, let's drop down to 2,000 feet. We can slow down time now. So I'm going to do a little manual ordering here. I don't know why you're coming up. Go down. I'm going to order 1 bomb onto the target. So your attack order gave the pilot 2 targets, and he followed his weapon release authority and released both CBUs on 1 tank troop, which has a missile defense estimate of 4 CDB. Once you watch the cool CBU graphics destroy one of the tank units, you're left with 1 tank unit alive and well. Time to strafe him. Okay, so I'm going to unassign my last order for the manual allocation. I see what Gunner's doing now. And I'm just going to go back to my manual order. Normally I wouldn't do that. Normally I would try to split my attacks, but that's just me. Especially since 1 bomb should be enough for the tank. Oh. Apparently we're going to strafe first. Okay, well. Oh, what's the minimum altitude of our release here? Okay, so this is a screw up of me. So the minimum launch altitude for the CB-105 is 10,000 feet. So since I'm at 2,000 feet, it means we're not going to launch. So I'm going to order my aircraft here up to 10,000 feet or 12,000 feet. Give him a target order for the second target. And you can see we released both CBU-105s now. So real quick, you can see the 3 on the top of the icon is how many individual aim points are within this unit. And the 2 right below it is how many weapons are allocated. Now each weapon has like a dispersion, so it may not necessarily take 3 weapons to kill this target. In the case of cluster munitions, they're going to dispense out, and we're probably going to get all 3 of those tanks in one run. You can see our cool little... Nope, we're actually going to miss one. Well, that's disappointing. Let's go get our SDB armed F-16 up now. And strike number 4, which is those 6 buildings. Gonna manually allocate this strike. You still have fuel left. It annoys me to leave that 1 tank there. We're gonna go strafe it. Good morning, Mikey. How are you? I can see we're descending down to the weapons engagement envelope of our Vulcan. All right, strike 4, hit that way. And I'm going to let this one go all the way up to 36,000 feet. The reason for that is that most glide bombs, which the SDB is, actually will have a better range when launched from a higher altitude. Although that does cap out at a certain point. There we go. Now we got the tank. Now this F-16 can go DE. And how long till we have strike number 5? About 15 minutes. So I'm going to manually allocate my weapons launch now. Launch 1. I'm just double clicking on each one of these. Alternatively, you can go down to here where it says allocate weapon selected, hit the number desired, and then just hit allocate. But for just a single bomb, I prefer just to double click. And it'll tell you right here the number of these that are allocated. So you can see 6 targets, 6 are allocated. That should be 1 per target. Mobile targets are the next task. Older JDAMs, many guided weapons, and certainly dumb bombs have a hard time striking these targets. Fortunately, the F-16 has the ability to use the AGM-65 air-to-ground munition, the Maverick missile. This is based on a 1970s design, but has gone through significant improvements. It is a good for much more than moving targets, but it is one of the few pre-2000 weapons that can reliably hit movers. You have 2 moving cars to strike and 2 missiles to do it with engage. Now might be a good time for you to check how you're doing. Don't worry, this is the basic tutorial and you will win, but it's always nice to know how the fight is going. In command, scenario designers have a complete latitude on how they score a scenario, which is fantastic, but it does take a while for a player to get used to. In some of my scenarios, the player is likely to get his or her butt kicked, so I adjust the scores so you can measure how well you are losing, if that makes any sense at all, which it does to me anyway. So in this scenario, you get 10 victory points for every target you destroy, and you achieve a triumph by destroying 15 of them. Sometimes you get points for achieving missions, preventing the opposing forces from doing something, or preserving your assets. Totally up to the designer. Some players don't really pay attention to the point scores, neither do some designers. In this case, if it feels good, you've won. Alright, and then if you just want to check your score, you just go to game. Losses and expenditures. That'll tell us our expenditures. And you can go to scoring. And right now we're doing about average, but we also haven't destroyed all of our targets yet. Good morning, John. How are you? I'm going to slow down to 5x as we approach our launch point. Where are those Mavericks? About 3 minutes. Go ahead and just tell him to launch individually when he is ready. Of course, now my neighbor would decide to mow his lawn. Morning, Pit Fiend. Alright, then as we come into range, you'll see that each one of our targets is having a bomb assigned to it. So, as expected, 6 targets, 1 bomb assigned apiece. We have 2 extra GBU 39s. I'm going to go ahead and go to lighter and let our first 6 go in, and then I'll use our last 2 bombs on anything that is left over. In fact, the GBU-39B is a penetrator warhead, so if I did have those 2 left, I could in fact use it against our bunker that... or not bunker, but our aircraft shelter that I missed. So Strike 5 is inbound. You can see our 2 moving cars over here. I'm going to go ahead for this one and turn on air-to-ground strafing. And that's probably a little bright. I'm going to go turn off Sentinel-2. And how's Stamen terrain look for over here? That doesn't look terrible. What do you guys think of that? Would you guys rather have that or the BMG layer? So STB-1 hit, didn't quite kill the target. Alright, so of our 6 bombs, we did major damage to 4 of our targets, and we outright missed 1. Weapon endgame, weapon malfunction. That would have been the one that was completely unharmed. All of our other weapons hit. Missed target by 56 feet. Missed target by 50 feet. Missed target by 60 feet. And missed target by 50 feet. So the others were misses, but because of the size of the warhead, not side, size of the warhead, we still caused pretty significant damage. So I'm going to go ahead, turn the F-16 back in now, and manually allocate one more bomb to that one, and another bomb to that one. That should finish those 2 off. And then our F-16 will now RTV. Ever use the saying, I feel like $1 million? What, 1.5 million each, the JSSSM, Joint Air-to-Surface Standoff Missile, is truly capable munition. Just don't expect too many of them. The AGM-158 has a range of 215 nautical miles, so it's certainly a standoff weapon. It is a subsonic terrain-following cruise and a double warhead, 1 to penetrate, 1 to destroy. For this one to fly towards the target, out past target 2, and you'll get another message outlining what you should do for the attack. So what I'm going to do here is go to our airbase, and all the ones that are set to park, I'm just going to tell them all to launch individually as they're ready. So we still have about 10 minutes until our AGM-158 is ready. Our one going for the Mavericks isn't even to target yet. I finished off target number 1. And let's see if we can finish off target number 2. No. Missed the target by 65 feet. Well, that was disappointing. Only killed 2 of our 6 targets, but we heavily damaged, 3 others. So, not terrible, but also not great. Let's look at the launch envelope for the Maverick. We can fire this from 200 feet up to 65,000 feet. So we're right in the middle at 36,000. And I'm going to manually allocate 1 missile to each of our 2 targets. Speed up time here. I'm really sorry for my neighbors, guys. Alright, so that would be our strike number 6 with our air attack munitions coming up. Target number 6 is over here. And as you can see, we can reach it from about the point we reach target 2. Okay, now follow this procedure. Select aircraft strike number 6, hit F1, drag select the 2 targets to bring up the weapons allocation dialog, assign 1 JASM to each target. Now in the lower right box, select the JASM that is assigned to one of the targets. The plot course option becomes available. Press this button. You can now, on the map screen, and each cursor becomes a waypoint. Maximum 10, you can not exceed the range of the weapon. Plot a course and do the same for the second weapon. If you don't like your course, click the clear course and do it again. Once you're happy, close the weapons box and watch them fly. This is a great way of getting around defenses. So as soon as we come into range, I'll go ahead and allocate our 2 weapons for number 6. Alright, so I can't see where my plotted course is, so I'm going to turn off Stamen and just go back to the BMG layer. One second. I need to do one other thing. I'm going to hit pause here real quick. Sorry about that. My PC fans were starting to rattle in my case and I had to go move them. Alright, so coming into Maverick range here shortly. Alright, so we missed with 1. Hit with 2. Just going to tell him to auto strafe the other one. And let's start focusing on strike number 6. Just coming in range of the Jasms now. So allocate target 1. Allocate target 2. Select our weapon. Select plot course. We'll do something like that. Alright, I'm going to clear that. I'm going to clear our allocation too. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wait till we're a little bit farther within range. About the time we hit lined up with target 2 is when I'll launch. Alright, so strike number 7. Strike number 7 is going in with mouths. Oh, that's a pleasant surprise because enough fire damage that our targets from target 4 are actually burning. So now, while I'm paused, go ahead back to target number 6. Allocate weapon. It's going to make me get out of that menu now. Oh, come on. 1. Why won't you? There we go. Go back to plot course. We'll do dogline like that. Hit escape. Target number 2. Plot course. Oh no, no. Clear course. Plot course. Plot course for weapons number 2. We'll go that way. And fire. So there's both of our AGM 158s. Not sure what I should be doing with strike number 7 here, so just going to tell him to go to idle. And lighter speed, there's strike number 8. Whoa, everybody came up. Guess everybody else readied at about the same time, so... Those are marked. Strike number 10 has 500-pound Mark 82s. Strike 11 has more cluster munitions. Strike number 8 again has some more JDAMs. Strike number 9 has some paveway laser guided bombs. And strike number 12 has Mark 84 2,000-pound low drag general purpose. So get everybody spread out here. And let's go watch our AGM 158s hit. Well, I should say hopefully hit. This is not really a strike, but once you launch your aircraft, strike number 7, fly it towards the target, and when you get a few miles out from base, This is a bearing only launch, and you should launch your MALD's miniature air launch decoy anywhere you like. This is another useful technique. You will need to penetrate heavily defended areas. After this, you have several aircraft about ready. After this, you have several aircraft about to be ready, so you should feel free to play around with the different weapons on board to destroy any targets on the range. You are now qualified to bomb stuff. And bomb stuff is in nice bold lettering there. So we'll go watch our second MALD. Or I'm not sorry, MALD. GDAM. GDAM. JASM. I'm going to do a bearing on launch as we're directed. So in my case, I have a hotkey set up on my Stream Deck for bearing launch. But if you go to unit orders, attack options, bearing only launch, then what you do is instead of selecting an actual target, you can select an actual target, but in my case, I'm just going to select a point, and I'm going to fire all 4 of my mounts. And what's going to happen is they're going to fire, and they're basically just going to fly to that point. So, a couple targets now that are left to finish off. Let's see if our AGM-158 is going to hit over there. Nice. Actually got a kill. So what do we have left? We have an hardened aircraft shelter. So my paveways do have a penetrator warhead. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to order my strike number 9 towards target number 2 to go finish it off. We also have a couple of small buildings up here we can also take out. I will send strike number 8 towards our buildings from target 4. Strike 12, low drag general purpose. Send you out towards those buildings. Cluster munitions. Probably not very good against buildings, but we'll send it out against the buildings out that way as well. And you can see there's my decoys. Now there's 2 types of mounts. There's the active RF, and then there's the offensive ECM variant of it as well. These are the active RF. I think the active RF basically just makes it a bigger target, or more likely to eat the missile, or eat it, or get targeted or something. I can't remember how that actually works. I like TALDs too. Oh, these aren't TALDs, these are MALDs. There's a difference. TALDs are the towed aerial decoy, aren't they? Yeah, or I'm sorry, the TALDs are the tactical air launch decoy. The MALDs are the other one. Not quite sure what the difference is there, to be honest, off the top of my head. We're going to send this one with the 500-pound bombs out towards target, or not really targets, just those 3 buildings up there. I'm going to order my paveways to be launched against the hardened aircraft shelter. See if we can finish that off. I'll manually control my Jade amps against the buildings. And can speed up here. Coming into paveway range. How's it going this morning, Doug? Bombs away. And you'll see with laser-guided bombs, though, our F-16 is sticking around, and you can see the laser coming off the aircraft to the target. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be lasered by the launching platform. In this case, he's going to stick around, and now we can order him to go attack the target 4 building that I missed. Just got back from the fish tour, have a huge saltwater tank. Nice. I've been just like watching like a tank full of fish just like swim around. It's pretty relaxing. I can see that. So Jade Ams, we're gonna manually target. I want. Let's see, these are Mark 82s, so they are 500-pound bombs. So I'm gonna target 2 to each target. Sorry I haven't had a chance to respond to your message. I got them late last night, and I just haven't had a chance to respond. I was going to send something after the stream. There goes our JDAMs. There goes our other laser-guided bomb. Where do you think you're going? Oh, he's bingo fuel. Nice. Why are you bingo fuel? Oh, you're carrying the Mark 84 2,000-pound bombs. Okay, so it's a weight thing. So what I'm going to do is order my F-16s with the cluster munitions to go after that building. Now, cluster munitions versus buildings, probably not going to do too much damage. I mean, they are small buildings, but it's still 150 damage points. And then I'm going to order my other F-16 here. He's going to drop 6 bombs on one of the other buildings and 6 bombs on the other one. Nope, he's bingo fuel now too. So. Alright, we're just going to call it. We're not. So how did we do? So, triumph score. I expended 6 Mark 82s, 2 GBU 31s, 2 CBU 105s, 8 GBU 39 SDBs, 2 Mavericks, 2 JASMs, 2 MALDs, or I'm sorry, 4 MALDs, 2 GBU 10 Paveways, and 2 GBU-54 JDAMs. Killed 2 hardened aircraft shelters, 1 guard post, 2 pump houses, 6 buildings, 2 cars, and 6 Scorpion 90s. And honestly, I think that's going to be it. I was going to go for another hour, but I don't know how it's going to be with my neighbors all deciding to fire up their leaf blowers and lawn mowers. Thank you, Doug. I hope you were able to get through it. I know it's complicated. I did attach a PDF in it. It's called like designer notes or something like that, where the first section actually offers some hints. So let's go take a look. I'm not going to do it right now just because of my neighbors, but let's go look at strike tutorial number 2 just to get an idea of what's coming up in another 3 weeks. Today you have half a squadron of German Tornado IDS interdictor strike. The Tornado is different from the F-16 multi-role we used in strike tutorial number 1, as it is a member of the family of aircraft, others being the Advanced Air Defense variant and the ECR, Electronic Combat Reconnaissance. The Tornado IDS is a specialized and low-level strike into heavily defended area, so much more capable in that specific role than the dedicated ground attack aircraft such as the A-10 or Su-25. In this tutorial, you will set up 2 missions, 3 actually, find ground targets, and then strike them. So that's coming up for us in a couple of weeks. It's good, it's fun. I'm playing with some other... Glad you're enjoying it, Doug. It was a lot of work. And I know it's also really, really complicated. Even I still have issues trying to get through it, but once you kind of figure out the tanker refueling and all that, the actual strike section is pretty easy. But as I said, guys, I think that's going to be it for today. I hope this was useful. I'm sorry for cutting the stream short, but with all my neighbors out there, I don't think you guys really want to hear that all in the background, so unfortunately my Blue Yeti seems to pick up everything, even when it's set to directional. So hopefully this is useful. I will be back next Saturday with just a normal stream, and then August 8th will be the next tutorial stream, which, as I said, will pick up on strike tutorial number 2. And with that, have a good weekend, stay safe, and I will see you guys next time.